This is the first lesson in a unit. We're going to take a look at immigration in the late 1800s. There are several factors that affect why immigrants leave their country and why immigrants choose to come to the United States. Pull factors: why the United States is attractive to immigrants. You see the three reasons listed on the left. At the same time, there were reasons that immigrants chose to leave their various countries. Those are known as push factors, and you see them listed on the right. The pie charts here indicate immigration in red from Northern and Western Europe, immigration in blue from Southern and Eastern Europe, and the key here is that prior to 1881, there was no significant immigration from Southern and Eastern Europe. So from the 1880s through the end of the series of pie charts here, immigration from Southern and Eastern Europe became very significant. We're talking specifically countries such as Italy, Poland, Russia. That's a big change in immigration patterns for the United States. This map gives us a better sense of total numbers of people and where they were coming from. So now you have a more complete list. The folks coming from Europe, you can see, came across the Atlantic and landed in East Coast cities. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But do notice that we did have Asian immigration from China and Japan coming across the Pacific, and they landed in California. Immigrants coming from Europe traveled by boat across. The trip took about a week. They traveled in third class, known as steerage, a picture of which you see here. The conditions were, it was all below deck. The conditions were crowded, cramped, no privacy. This was the cheapest way to travel. The majority of immigrants came into New York Harbor, and Ellis Island in the picture was built as a processing center for that purpose. Immigrants entered into the Great Hall that you see here, making their way through the lines so that they would be processed in, and they were subject to a medical exam, which, if it was determined that they had a disease, they would often be shipped back at the ship company's expense back to their country that they came from. If it was a disease that was curable of sorts, there were medical facilities on site, quarantine facilities on site, where they could stay until they were cured and then could enter the country at that point. Well, most immigrants got processed in here at this facility and then made their way to Lower Manhattan. On the Pacific coast, Angel Island in San Francisco Bay was the processing center for immigrants coming in from Asia. Additionally, we haven't talked about yet, but 100,000 Mexicans came into the United States, largely by rail, as you can see here, at the turn of the century. And many of them worked on farms out in the Southwest. So then, to sum up, a new wave of immigration from Southern and Eastern European countries started in the late 1880s. Right? Immigrants came by boat in third class into East Coast ports. New York was not the only port of entry, but the majority of immigrants did come into New York. Immigrants from Asia came into Angel Island in the West Coast off of San Francisco. And Mexicans came and worked in the Southwest, usually on farms. Lessons going forward will begin to talk about their lives here in the United States.